there was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable creatures to see if they could become something more. So when I needed them, they could fight the battles that I never could. Then, one day, after that team was brought together, a pair of twins birthed by the Lord of Hell himself, Jeff Bezos, killed one of the members of my elite team. Now, it's payback time. Can you beat Skyrim as a Disney princess? You're probably wondering how I got from payback for a fallen friend to a Disney princess. It makes sense, just hear me out. Disney movies are all about three things: love, honesty, and friendship, and money, and selling merchandise, and becoming a monopoly. The primary key in the Disney table that links it to the murder table is friends. But we need to take it a step further. We're not real enough yet. Look outside. See any animals? I doubt it. Most of them are dead. But believe it or not, they are our friends. The problem is, they don't know it yet. If I still love my dead dog's ashes enough to make jokes about them, imagine how brutally I could smother a giant feral rat with my love. I want a pack of wild animals that love me. That's why I'm a Disney princess. They like animals. To take a step back, to examine this from the comfort of a new paragraph, this is like the Fallout New Vegas Necromancer video, only instead of resurrecting dead bodies and turning them into companions, I've mastered the art of seduction and can make any wilderness creature weak enough in the knees that it's practically begging to do anything I say. There's just one small setback, because there always is. We're well into 2021 now. It's been almost a week at this point. Everything must be as inconvenient as possible. It's like a board game you play with your grandpa. You play Monopoly, there's an argument about money, he says something about the war, you try to explain to him how real money is just as fake as the money you're playing with. He shoots you in the chest and calls you a communist. A simple game turned into a mildly inconvenient evening. Did you think it was a real gun? Why would we let Grandpa have a real gun? All this means is it's time for his medication. Sorry, Josh. No consensual homicide this time. I got lost there for a second. Let's get back to the beginning of the game. It was, pretty normal. I chose a woman as my race and made her as much like Cinderella as I possibly could. I thought maybe we were due for a tornado or something with the sky and all. Alduin showed up and made the sky piss fire. I got my vision back, entered the keep, took a bucket, and went outside because I've got shit to do. I used 2 mods to make this work. One allows up to 100 companions, as well as a bunch of other really useful stuff that I never used, and the other lets you tame any animal. But the animal taming mod uses spells for this. First, you use a charm spell like Calm or Pacify to soothe the wild beast. Then you blast them with the tame spell and it's yours. If you didn't know there was a tame spell in Skyrim, it's because there isn't. It's added by a mod, and you can only get it from a certain someone inside the College of Winterhold. So not only do I have to get there, I have to be able to afford the 2800 gold spell. You know what that means. My first objective was the gold, because it would probably be the easiest to get done, and the gold would be useful if I needed to buy a spell or something else. As I approached the horse ferryman, I noted a series of explosions upon the air in the distance, and went into the air myself to investigate. Let's just say, there's a reason I'm not a detective. Couldn't figure out what they were. I bought Calm to satiate people and animals up to level 9, as well as Fear to do the exact opposite. Both are illusion spells, which happens to be the same as the Tame Animal spell. To make it useful, I'd need to power level illusion up to at least 50. Further cementing my cat merchant spawn theory as fact rather than fiction, I stole her goodies from her hidden pocket to sell, and began leveling illusion. Telling someone to calm down can never make them angry, which is why you can use it on anyone. Wait an hour for your magic to respawn instantly, and continuously use it to raise your illusion skill. Only took me about 8 minutes to get up to 42. Knowing that half the battle, and that I'd need gold to progress and the merchants I need wouldn't show up until later, I entered Bleak Falls Barrow. But I'm not attacking anything, so you've seen this all before. Let's skip ahead. Puzzle, Arvel, Dead Draugr Overlord, Return the Stone, Made Soup, had to kill a dragon, return to Dawnstar. The bitch had found her way, and I could finally abuse her. I didn't torment her for too long, only until I had about 5,500 gold. At the college, I needed to heal her hands to be let into the college, just like that lady did to Helen Keller's hands with the water. That is, if you buy the official story. Luckily for me, Flipper sells the lotion. I squirted the elf, got inside, bought tame animals, and the real game begins. Now I can summon an army of animals to protect me at all times. first, you calm the animal down. Then you tame it. Then I activated it, which I thought had to do something with its soul, but was a waste of time. It does something, but I don't know what. And it's as simple as that. Any enemy that can be under the effects of the calm spell can be turned into a companion. And that's cool. It's fun roaming the Skyrim with a pair of wolves and a weird-looking cow by your side. But it takes a lot of magic to use. So if I take one wolf in a pack and tame it for myself, it's gonna fight the others, and I can't have that. It'll die, so what's the point? I won't allow them to fight amongst themselves when I can pledge their lives to me and force them to fight on my behalf against forces greater than they can possibly imagine. Also, it only works on creatures up to level 9. But certain kinds of creatures can't be tamed without certain perks. The idea was to be a god of the forest who could immediately turn any animal into her ally. To that end, I upped my illusion to 100, gave myself all the useful perks, and became an actual Disney princess. The level cap for what I can control is jacked to the f***ing moon, and it works on undead and kingdra too. Oh, and I added 1000 to my magic. And I changed my mind again. I am not Cinderella. I'm a parasite. If I can get my hands on you, whether you're a man or a machine or a mouse, you belong to me. My first stop in my quest to assemble the greatest army this side of the Colorado River was a mineshaft filled to the brim with bandits and bandit outlaws. I also added a good amount of magic and perks. It still requires some effort. I can't just blindly spam wildly. Outside, I summoned my followers, and the conga line was already both longer and more f***ed up than I thought. They take social distancing very seriously. They're spaced out to the point of it being annoying to look at. There are ways to send your horde to their death all as one big happy family. It just takes some thought is all. At this point, as a legitimate capital Big G in the sky god, I had no real goals other than to bolster my ranks. The courier who delivered my message would now die for me. Durak, who wants to fight the evils of this world, is now forced to serve one. Tried to get eyes in the sky for long-distance ocular pat-downs, should have brought my binoclears because the bird couldn't handle it. I knocked out its power is what I really did, because birds aren't real. Couple more wolves, a family of farmers who I just stole from, the stable man and his lover too. A band of mercenaries outside Whiterun, then a few Whiterun guards, just for good measure, and one last thing. Is that a kid? Oh dear God. What do I do here? I abducted a kid. I also took the dog in Riverwood too, some time ago. I didn't mention it earlier, but I remember doing it now. Together, with close to probably 24 creatures all trailing me, I investigated the destroyed tower and waited for the dragon to arrive. I mean, I f***ed that up, but it works. I'll leave it. The Murmalayer, unfortunately, well, two things. He can't be tamed, and he's a pussy. He died real quick and in a very unimpressive fashion. Todd saw my struggles and rewarded me with Skyrim f***ery. From there, my numbers grew even more with the leftover guards. 2 red guys looking to abduct a woman. Unbeknownst to them, they came to the right princess if they needed help in that area. I got my reward from the yard. I took a few more guards. And tragedy struck our great nation. With so many people comes so many problems. Your spawn point when you enter a new area is all jacked up. In my case, spawning into Whiterun from Dragon's Reach put half my babies on a cliff, where they violently plummeted 3 feet down into the water where they died. My next task was to meet with the Greybeards atop a mountain, and knowing how gravity affects those I care about, a mountain climbing adventure was too much of a risk to take. I hadn't yet decided who was going to be mylittleradroach.com yet, and protecting everyone else is what everyone else is for. That's a real domain I own, by the way. I also own mylittlepogchamp.com. I was pretty surprised it hadn't been taken yet, but now it's mine. And my opinion of myself continues to get lower and lower. Took the proper path up to the wizards this time, the steps and whatnot. It took me a while to get there though, but it was worth it as I made the biggest acquisition of all time, a troll. Earlier than expected, I began to feel the side effects of calming too many people. You tend to get stuck in tight spaces. Wasn't much to see going up to the Greybeards. My horse killed some woman for no reason. I think she asked him why he had a long face and he just lost it. As a punishment for the horse being born with mental problems, I sent it to its death at the hands of a troll that managed to kill more of my men than I would have thought. Except 2 which were essential. They're no fun. I dismiss them whenever possible. Also bump the difficulty up to Adept. If you're wondering, not long later it goes up to Master, then Legendary, and stays there for the remainder of the game. Besides the appearance of characters who really shouldn't be there being off-putting, the meeting and greeting and feeding wasn't too out of the ordinary. A guard got in my way as a show of power, I got sent to obtain a family heirloom, and with my comically large ensemble of characters, I set off for Ustengrav by going to Dawnstar. I'm taking the long way. I did it for fun, for the thrill of watching an entire campsite be wiped out after taking one of their men for my own and forcing him to slaughter his own people. Slowly we rumbled our way to Ustengrav, where I abused my secret weapon. Part of the mod lets you issue commands to everyone all at once. One of those commands is Summon All, which immediately rips them through reality to you. You run into a crowd of people, summon everyone, and it becomes a party. I guess because of how Skyrim's engine is technically better than Fallout New Vegas's, you don't get those densely packed mobs of people all attacking at once. They can get bunched up, they just won't attack. It's unfortunate because indoor fights aren't quite as hectic, but in a way it's better because it's not an immediate one-sided victory. The deepness of Ustengrav was another hellhole full of pits and pitfalls calling out to my lovelies to free them from this existence. I made them all wait in the car while mommy ran her errands. Summoned them all to fight a giant spider. That up real good when I got them all almost stuck on a liquid inferno water fountain. I lost so many good souls in that madness. Like a good leader, after so much devastation, I just cut my losses, made sure I got out alive, and recovered the burnt bits of whatever remained to wake them up and keep the dream alive. My dream, not theirs. Their dreams are nightmares that will never end. Despite however many people died down there, I still had a somewhat impressive fleet to call my own. Still believing in the power of positivity and band-aids, I sent my barely alive skeleton crew into the bowels of Labyrinthian to test them against 3 different trolls. I easily could have taken the trolls, but I knew who I wanted. I only wanted the winners. I left the troll gifts behind, returned to Riverwood, was attacked by cultists, and one uncomfortable middle of the front doorway conversation with someone on the porch later, I convinced them to join me. I spoke to Delphine, and we went to face our biggest test yet, a dragon. Along the way, I stopped into a vampire hideout to get Shrek to shut the f up about it already. This playthrough has devolved into mod reviewer territory. I got stuck in the army, again, and spotted a chance at glory, a way to die with dignity, a giant, and his Rey Romano. It was the kind of thing I had in mind when I started this. They fought as well as they could, sent one guy into the starfield, they killed a couple others, but they died. Outside of Kynes Grove, someone called out to me in the night to warn me of a dragon attacking the city. She made a fine addition to my collection. As the dragon was born, and formed an important relationship with its parent, I performed the airborne stationary pincer circumference technique, where we kinda surrounded the dragon in a U-shape. Without Dragon Rend, all I could do was be a quiet observer. However, I am still God, and gods can do god things like mess with the clocks. I didn't see much of the first half of the fight, but the second half was a rager. I don't really know how to explain what it was I was doing here. What I gathered was more than a match for the dragon. Delphine ran her mouth at me, and I and my most trusted advisors received a special greeting from the Greybeards. The moose seemed especially interested in it. On the way to meet Malborn, I stopped to meet Malborn. I really wanted either the guy who was about to get executed or the guy with the big axe, but I couldn't make it happen. Dropped some stuff off inside Malborn, traveled to the party, waited to summon everyone because I didn't want to get stuck every time I move a muscle, like when Mr. Beast celebrated everyone on Earth being subscribed to him by filling a swimming pool with their coagulated blood and swimming in it. Inside the embassy proper, I summoned everyone, then calmed them all down. Violence isn't the answer. Pitting 2 brothers against each other as the rest of the family watches on is. I turned the Thalmor embassy guards against themselves, and on Legendary, this felt like what you'd expect an assault on the Thalmor embassy to look like. Someone died, couldn't tell if he was mine or not that it matters, I stopped caring about them after they die. After that, they're just another corpse. In the little building room, those important enough to society to have names, put up a good resistance to dying. The moose running around doing their own thing made the basement a fun time for the whole family. Speaking of family holes, the torture guy I found is coming with me now. His family hole can be filled with a headstone. Next came rescuing Esbern. and for once, I thought ahead. It's gonna be real tight down there. I love the moose, but they'll just cause problems. I needed the best of the best. I chose the cultist twins, Jeremy and Garamy, a Thalmor soldier for his swiftness, the tortured man to boost morale, Lars Battleborn, the living embodiment of my 4th grade teacher's soul, and a Whiterun guard to have someone accustomed to wiping my ass for me. I hate seeing blood on the seat when I get up. It's gross. The kid waiting to get on the horse ride at Walmart gave me a weird look when I got up. What a bitch. Despite only bringing the assumed best, I still got a little stuck down in the rat hole. See, silly me, I expected people to know how to operate a hallway. I took the bare-knuckle brawler, I think he's blind. I didn't with any of the soldiers, I let them be distracted by the people whose job it is to distract. My skeever died, bet you didn't even know I had a skeever. Took the deaf woman, she rants about buckets. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but it got old faster than I thought my parents would have when I was a kid. I did tame one of the Thalmor, only because waiting for him to die would have been an inconvenience to me. With Delfino and Esbern reunited, we all gathered round the table to listen to the old man's plan. We're headed to you already know where. Took the route through Morthal, variety and whatnot. Some asshat berated my magic and insulted my army. He joined it. I got sliced in half right after befriending a bear by manipulating its mind. Legendary mode don't around. It worked out in the end. I got a bear and 2 saber cats. And just when it seemed this video was doomed to be uninteresting forever, a surprise dragon showed up that I didn't spawn. I said that so you know it didn't happen. It was tougher for me on a personal level than I imagined it would be. Not because anyone died. They did, but I took damage, which was a shame. I enjoyed playing in baby mode, but when you kill me, you cross the line. So I did it. I finally became an adult, and solved my problem by running the away. Then a mud crab got involved, and one of my Discord mods died. The itsy bitsy spider killed the dragon and proved to everyone that he didn't need rehab after all. At some point in time, I found myself at Mickey Mouse's house of manual labor, where I abducted Mickey, Minnie, and their 2 dumb kids. Tigger saved them all by kill me. That means they're all gonna suffer together now. In my army, a hideous monstrosity joined us in the Skyhaven Temple entrance area. I let the boys run about and have their fun. I figured while they were slaying puss, I could forcefully assimilate anyone and everyone. I lost another innocent soul. Inside the cave was chaos for like 3 seconds. Puzzles, I dismissed a few people I didn't think I needed, got stuck in the doorway again. The wall, neato, nobody cares. High Hrothgar and up the mountain we go. Got a sad message when I tried to tame the icy boy? Actually, I didn't. In my head, I remembered seeing it say you cannot tame an ice wraith, which I did think was really weird considering I saw the ice wraith many times and just never questioned it. My loyal guardians did too good of a job when it came time to get roasted by the giant lizard's mouth. Moving them was simple because they have no free will. Parents will understand that. I absorbed his soul, mouthed myself on him as well for a familiar family greeting, brought everyone back. Oh no, the Elder Scroll. That's where we're going. I knew because I'm God that I didn't need to talk to anyone to get the location of the scroll. Simply hold hands with death, jump off a cliff, pray you're partially invisible, and go about your day. The family of Horkers I performed my little family infighting prank on repelled the onslaught of most of what I brought with me for a while. I left Heffid the Deaf as a present for Septimus as a gift for his pet cube. Then I ventured, nothing happened, into the Old North Church. I got more stuck than ever before, eventually had to turn over custody of the Horker and let him get beaten to death in this dark cold cave. I dismissed a few others to make room for a more varied cast. The spider ants and roly-polies can be brought into the fold, which is convenient because on Legendary they fight like hell. There were a couple more battles inside the ruins. I did not invite every creature I stumbled across to my birthday party. I was really worried about this room, but telling them to wait, then summoning them back on the ground works well. The Falmer were tough as too. They took out a handful of enemies before laying me out with a single arrow to the dome. Here is where gets crazy. Do you remember what's down here? A Dwemer Centurion, and I can pacify it, and I can tame it, and I can make it fight for me. A worthy trade-off considering my bear died a few minutes ago. I snagged both those guys in real good armor because I can never be powerful enough. Together, with the ultimate dream team, we entered Bikini Bottom in search of an Elder Scroll. I did manage to die down there, which was surprising. I thought I had a giant metal man watching my back. For a while there, I was all about the numbers game again. Bad minutes are too stressful. I prefer ruining lives. Leave the real problems to a first grader. Got the scroll and did not go straight to the throat world. Like I said, I needed numbers. Alduin on Legendary was going to be a f***ing showdown. I'd need as many friends on my side if I was going to free the land of evil. I've been holding out on you this entire time. Pacify, the spell I've been using this entire time, is not the most powerful pacifying spell I've got. Harmony is a master spell that I gave myself when I cheated, and that motherfucker works on mammoths and giants. You know where I went with that. Overboard, immediately. I had 2 mammoths, a giant, a dwarven centurion, a bunch of Falmer, 2 heroes, moose, a spider, a troll, an old orc, a donkey. I borrowed a rabbit. I have no idea if he's still alive, but I hope so. There's still a cultist left, that vampire guy, a horker, Lars Battleborn still hanging around, God knows what else. I was ready for Alduin. Obviously, I tried to use Harmony on Alduin to tame him, and it did not work. You know this. It was a bit much. I went overboard, I already told you. So I pumped up the difficulty, I guess I wasn't on Legendary yet, and gave one of my mammoths to Alduin to even the odds. The added difficulty did not do much to help make this any harder. From there, it's time to skip ahead a bunch. Spoke to Esbern, the Jarl, back to Esbern, General Tullius, Ulfric, then the Council. It was a gentleman's mistake to try to invite my party to partake in this meeting of the minds. I thought, cooler heads prevail. I've got an ice wraith that won't die for some reason. I thought, whatever. Meeting was fine, but afterwards, once they'd all served their purpose in this little puppet show, I super glued on them some strings of my own. General Tullius, Ulfric Stormcloak, Zelda, and Esbern all belong to me. Again, chivalry got the best of me. I thought everyone would want to see Josh the Friendly Dragon, but I guess not. The big boy was captured. Couldn't tame him. I mounted him in full view of everyone I brought back inside, just so they could see this beautiful moment, and we rode to Skuldafn. Skuldafn does not f around. Immediately, in the very landing zone, my guys got into a scuffle with a dragon. Inside the temple was no better. Draugr could one-shot me, and everyone was too socially awkward to go out into the living room instead of standing around in the hallways. I took a shocking amount of creatures under my wing here. I only wished to offer them my guidance. Once I used Harmony to finally catch a Draugr overlord, I realized my problem. The door. As sad as it is, I let everyone take their turns as they beat him to death so I could recover the diamond claw. No, I didn't. I desired this man. I longed for him. I had him. Used a console command to give myself the claw. This is a bull run anyway, and exited out into the battlefield. Maybe you were hoping for this. Maybe not. I chose to take on Nokrin and the dragons lurking about. On Legendary, almost everything I mentioned inside the neck of the whole heckin' world is still around. And without Alduin having his dad sitting on the roof shooting us with an airsoft gun while we were playing with squirt guns, I could actually sit back and watch it all unfold. Also because I turned on God mode for me. I just wanted to see how this entire thing played out. A lot of things died by the time I took the mask and the staff from Nokrin's dead body and entered Sovngarde. I took a few Stormcloak soldiers I found wandering in the mist, positioned my forces behind me, called Soon a mean name, and was actually very worried that he'd lead them towards the waterfall and a bunch of people would fall off. It was a very one-sided victory once the giant got involved. Obviously, Soon had to come with me. I left everyone outside while I went into the Hall of Valor alone, courtesy and whatnot. This really made me mad. I had this whole bit planned where I was going to decide that my army was corrupted, that they couldn't be here. I was going to force all of them to fight to the death, then remove the remainders from the world, go inside the hall, turn everyone inside into a companion, and fight Alduin with them. Turns out, there's a pacification field inside the Hall of Valor. Can't use spells or powers. I will say this though, this was much better than the ear, nose, and throat fight. A bunch of different creatures, some living, some undead, some human, some animal, all working together to stop Alduin. Even a relic of a forgotten lost era is here. So are the generals of both armies fighting for control of Skyrim and one of the Jarls. You might be noticing that I slowed down time to get these slow motion shots in battle. Pretty cool, right? I thought so too. Here's the funny thing about time. It does not play fair. How can I explain this properly? While you slow down time, the meteors continue to spawn at the same rate in real time. So, in-game, maybe 3 seconds have passed. But at 0.01 normal speed, in real time, that's like 45 seconds. So 45 seconds worth of meteors all spawn in at once, and it's hell. Naturally, I had to take a little detour right at the finish line to let a bunch of these rocks spawn in at once. I wanted to get this spectacular action shot of Alduin and all the meteors, and all my babies dying by the dozen. Everyone wants to know what happened to Tom Baker and his family. Give us a gritty 2021 sequel. There's not a chance in hell all 12 of his kids survive 2020. I don't ask people to like my videos or subscribe or any of that nonsense, but I'm gonna ask you now, as a man of God, get this idea to Netflix. Cheaper by the dozen too. Dead by the dozen. Set during the 2020 pandemic. After my action shot idea didn't work at all, I reloaded a save from early on in the fight and let it rage on. It only took a couple minutes for everything to kill him, but with everything attacking him, it seemed like a fair amount of time. In the end, surprisingly, I did not have to get the final hit on Alduin. Surrounded by those who put their differences aside to save the world, Alduin fucking exploded. I went through and got shots of every member of my team. Not sure what I'm gonna do with it, might just speed it up and play it here anyway. And with that, I guess I did sorta beat Skyrim as a Disney princess. But we're not done yet. If my ragtag group of hand-picked killers from all over the world can defeat a primordial dragon, who else can they beat? There's only one man left to beat before I can declare Skyrim truly beaten, allowing me to finally move on and get back to making important videos, like Let's Play Mario Kart 8 Part 3. I spawned the Ebony Warrior. For those of you who don't know, you can't even fight the Ebony Warrior because he does not even spawn until you're at least level 80. I hit him once. He forgave me. I hit him again. He wasn't as lenient the second time. Within seconds of spawning him, he was knocked down and beaten mercilessly for seconds. Over the next 15 seconds, he was assaulted by a dozen people all at once and his health barely moved. I knocked it down to novice or adept and let the survivors continue their onslaught. Ignoring the essential characters who can't die and the mammoth who's too traumatized to move, he killed everyone I had to my name in under a minute. I had to see him fall before I ended this. Called in a few friends, like, 11 more giants. Still on novice, I bopped him one and let round 2 begin. It was really not great. The motherfucker launched a giant off the tallest mountain in the world like they were nothing. I can't be expected to compete with that. By the time I got back up there, only 3 giants were left standing. The mammoth was down, and every non-essential character was gone. I tried cheating and taking his weapon from him to even it out, even using his weapon against him. I still never stood a chance without God mode. I cheated, he died, but I won, and that's all that matters. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video or didn't learn anything. Thanks to the champion tier supporters as well as other channel members. Join the Mitten Squad server by going to mitten.land. Follow me on Twitter @Mitten Squad. My name is Paul of Mitten Squad. Have a wonderful day.